Wanna talk? So let's talk. Here. Talk. You wanna talk? You gotta talk, you need to talk. News talk.
I talk, you talk to Solomon. I talk, you talk to Solomon. Yeah, let's talk to Solomon. Talk to Solomon.
You gotta talk, you wanna talk.
Welcome to Talk to Solomon. That's me, Stan Solomon, my co-host.
Chief Steve.
And my other co-host, Brent Johnson. Brent.
Yeah, Brent Johnson right over here.
Okay.
Can I give a quick plug for the show, Stan?
Well, go ahead. Give the plug.
All right. This Saturday, okay, from 5 to 8 Eastern Time, the Global Freedom Report. Go to www.freedomradio.us for more information on what's going to be a great show.
I'm sure it will be. And our guest of honor, the one and the only, always smiling, never lonely, Dr. Alan Keyes.
I wish that were true. Good evening, everyone.
Happy birthday to you. Happy
Oh, my
birthday
gosh.
to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
Now, you have to understand, that's been in my head for a week because you were going to call in last week so we could do it on your birthday, but a week belated, happy birthday.
Thank you so much, Stan. I appreciate it.
Now, that we got that out of the way, I want you to know that Romney and Ryan want to put you and your family in chains. And I know that because Biden told me so.
Oh, is that right? Well, unfortunately, you know me, Stan. I think that, as I said to some of my Facebook folks, because I've been writing extensively in the wake of what I'm calling the Romney-Ryano ticket, that we just live at the moment, and a matter of fact, it was the title of a piece I put up today, 2012, how can I put it, America's heads they win, tails we lose election. and I'm sorry, I read something the other day, Mike Reagan, I think it was, saying, oh, his father would love this ticket. Am I the only person? Well, I lived through the whole of the Reagan career. And Mitt Romney and friends and the Keynesian economics that our friend Paul Ryan has been pursuing. They say he's not a Keynesian, but he sure has been acting like one the last several years. That's socialism. And Ronald Reagan opposed it throughout his entire career. So now that folks can take his name in vain in any way that they please, they're going to pretend that the very people he spent his whole career deep in the wilderness opposing, who ridiculed him and had nothing nice to say about him, that these are folks he would support. Okay, but I don't buy it. And I think it's just not true. So this shows you where we are now. We're being sold a bill of goods from all sides. And the real conservatives who want to maintain constitutional self-government, get rid of socialism, have limited government based on respect for the doctrine of unalienable rights and so forth, not just on lip service, and who wouldn't support the TARP, wouldn't support the bailout, wouldn't support the NDAA provision that you can detain people with military means without due process, and on and on. They're being offered a ticket that represents folks who have done everything that they think should not be done. And they're being told this is the only thing that's going to save us from somebody else who wants to do these very same things. This doesn't make any sense to me. And people say, well, you shouldn't say that. And I feel like I'm living in the Soviet Union. I wrote it in a response to someone the other day who was saying, well, you got to do this, and this is terrible, you got to shut up, yeah, you shouldn't be talking about that. And I'm thinking to myself, you do realize that that's what the communist apparatchiks had to do. There was no truth, there were no facts, there was just the party line, and you were to shut up about anything that contradicted it. Well, I won't do it. See, I would have fought the commies to the death. And if it costs me everything, I will speak the truth now. I don't care. And I think part of the reason we're going the way we're going is because for the last couple of decades, we have more and more seen folks who wear the conservative label but are willing to buy a pack of lies. And I won't do it. I'm not going to act as if there was no yesterday and the propaganda they put out today erases every fact that's on the record, even if it just got there on the record. Doesn't make any sense. So I don't know that, I think that Biden and Obama, I was one of the first among the folks who called him by his right name. And you know what's ironic? Some of the very people who are now worshiping at the altar of this pro-socialist Keynesian so-called GOP ticket are the people who told me to shut up about Obama's real label and didn't want me spreading the truth about his problems and his eligibility. Some of them haven't spoken up to this day. And then they want me to be silent. Why? Because it serves their political interest. I serve this country's interest, and I don't care about anything else.
Well said, and certainly well proven over many, many years. I'd like to shift gears here to a young lady, a pretty young lady, who's dead. She went for an abortion to a Planned Parenthood clinic in Chicago. Her name was Tanya Reeves, 24 years old. They rushed her to the hospital, rush maybe is the wrong word, where she died. And now they won't release the results of the autopsy because the abortionist killed her. Now, this story we talked about before, but Brent Johnson particularly wanted to talk about it, so I'm going to turn to Brent first to kind of bring the story into focus. Brent?
Yeah, I had sent you this story as soon as I saw it because I knew you would jump on this one. Apparently what's happened is that there's been a Freedom of Information request that's being started because the medical examiners refused to release the autopsy information, claiming that the requesters are not family members and not entitled to it. Now, under the public records law of the state, there's no question that this is public record, and anybody has access to it. You don't have to be a family member to have access to this information. So the medical examiner is clearly in violation of the law. As to whether or not the medical examiner is in any way politically associated with Planned Parenthood, that I don't know. I don't think that's come out yet. But the bottom line is that this woman went in for an abortion. Okay, this woman died in the process, and you'll never hear about this when Planned Parenthood actually disavows that, they're only an abortion organization. They say they do all kinds of other things, but they're requiring, they actually have quotas for abortions in their various Planned Parenthood institutions. And so I'm hopeful that this story, that, in memory of Tracy Reeves, is it?
Tanya.
In her memory. That Tanya. Thank you. Thank you. I am very hopeful that what will come out of this story will be some kind of a nail in the well-deserved Planned Parenthood coffin, because this is an absolute travesty that somebody should lose her life over the taking of a life of an unborn child. This is crazy. It's absolute mania.
Well, you bring up a point that many people use in the wrong way. I am pro-life. I believe that every child is created by God and a gift from God. But I believe that every grown-up child who's now a mother, or possibly a mother, or was going to be a mother, that makes that terrible decision, is still created by God. So no one wants ill. To me, abortionists are a special class of human being that, I'm sure have their own special place in hell. But the fact is, we are and should be and must be concerned about every human life. Chief?
This is very sad for me, and I'm amazed by these kind of stories. But first of all, in this case, this is where a young black woman was talked into going and aborting her black child. And so we have a group of people that are trying to exterminate the black race. But then again and again, people like we saw the story with Biden, who's talking to a predominantly black group, just by a mere statement saying that the Republicans are going to put you all back in chains. The black community, by and large, just buys that without really looking at the facts that they're voting for people like Barack Obama and Biden who want to exterminate them totally. And so it's just amazing to me that the Declaration of Independence states that all men are created equal and that we are endowed by our Creator, which is God, with certain inalienable rights. And I don't understand why the black community doesn't have a barrage of people running for office, fighting for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. They were the only race of people in this country that were actually slaves in the last 200 years. So if anybody, in my opinion, should be actually really out there really fighting for freedom and the Constitution should be the black community, but just the opposite is taking effect, I don't understand it.
Alan?
Well, a couple of things. I mean, I have believed that my whole career. Spent the time. As a matter of fact, the reason I went into Illinois to run against Barack Obama, though in many ways I didn't think that was such a great idea, and people told me it was going to have terrible damaging effects on my career and so on. I went in to bear witness to the fact that this man had the most abominable position on abortion imaginable, where he was actually opposed to the idea that you should stop folks from killing fully born children, fully born babies, who had survived a failed abortion attempt, were viable, but you should set them aside to die. And Barack Obama said, keep up that practice, because if you don't, that's going to interfere with the so-called a woman's right to choose. That's abominable. I don't know how you get much more deep-dyed and wicked than that. And then this guy's going to be presented as some kind of representative of the heritage of black folks in America. It's all absurd. But a couple of things, though. I went in to bear that witness. Got pilloried, by the way, by Judy Topinka and the rhino-type Republicans of the Romney ilk, the way he said used to be, and I think the way he still is, but leave that aside. And so forth. Why? Because we shouldn't make that an election issue. That's what it is. Like these people, Mitch Daniels and others, and there's an article on lifenews.com back in 2009 that Ryan said the same thing. Have a truce on the moral issues. How can you tell black folks they should vote for something other than this abomination when you've got a GOP that doesn't want to offer and back candidates that will make an issue out of it? That won't say we shouldn't talk about it, put it on the back burner, put it aside, but they'll put it first. And they stabbed me in the back for that and kicked me to the curb. So I think you can't expect the black community to make a choice they're not offered. And you'll say, well, Alan, we're going to offer them one now this year. Are we? Well, yeah. I mean, I don't think we're going to see the GOP top of the ticket people who will be advocating for infanticide. But we do know that Mitt Romney actually had in his Romney Care plan $50 copay abortions, the government paying for abortions. Doesn't anybody realize that that's really confusing, that you go to black folks and say, you're going to vote against this abominable abortion thing, and then put up a candidate who signed his name to government support for that very same evil, and who, by and large, is amongst the crowd of folks, never, ever makes the argument from principle that would remind folks that it contradicts the American creed, which says that we're endowed with an unalienable right to life, to promote, pay for, or in any way sanction by law the murder of unborn children in the womb. But they won't say this. So I would put in a plea here for the simple truth. People can't make a choice you don't offer. You can't fight against the evil that makes its way. If the folks in the black community who go to church, who actually, when surveyed, more than half believe that abortion is wrong, if you don't make that an issue and offer them that choice, how are they supposed to know that the election involves that choice? Instead, you go out and you talk, oh, money is the only thing that matters, economy is the only thing that matters, jobs is the only thing that matters, and meanwhile our economy is falling apart because we've lost the moral discipline to sustain free enterprise and are allowing them to put forward government dependency policies that are bankrupting the country. So come on, y'all. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I fought for it all my life. But I also know what's been the major obstacle to seeing a real revolution, and that is the absolute deadly unwillingness of the GOP elite faction leadership to back the play when you stand up and look people in the eye and say, this is an issue of fundamental principle, and the Democrats and the Obama types and all of these people are wrong on it, and we're going to be standing for what's right. They won't do it. So I say again, folks can't make a choice you don't offer them, and they are not going to make a choice that you obviously don't believe in because you won't articulate it. And that's where the GOP has been for the last 20 years at least. That's where they've been. And so I look at the mess we've got, and I think you've got to realize, and it's going to be worse now. Okay, I can see it coming. I'll write an article, it'll be up probably on Friday for WorldNet Daily. I've already written a series on my blog trying to get people to look at the fact we didn't get here by accident. We got here because the GOP wing of the elitist faction has been conniving at socialism and all of this gay marriage stuff and everything else for the last couple of decades. It's got to stop.
Well said, amen, and maybe we should end right there.
Right
Brent?
on.
I have
Go ahead, Brent.
a brief response there. Alan, these people actually are operating under principle, and they have been for years. The principle is to get elected, whatever it takes to get elected. And so they will tell whatever story, they will package the economy, the politics, abortion, whatever it is, that their package is designed to get elected. And that's the only principle by which these people operate.
Well,
and
but,
I completely and totally applaud Alan for his eloquence.
Brad, I agree with that. I think factually it's true in many cases. But I also think it's true on some of the moral issues, marriage, for instance, that they won't make it the issue, even though it's quite clear there's a winning coalition on that issue. That if you could turn every race in America into a referendum on abortion, on gay marriage and on the defense of the natural family, if you could turn every election into an election that turned around that, then you'd get the same results you have gotten almost every time you've asked any people of a state anywhere to vote in support of the natural family. Why don't they do it? They won't do it. And that's an issue where it's quite clear. Follow that strategy and you'll win. But they won't follow that strategy because that would empower the issue. That would bring back a consciousness of the Declaration and its fundamental place in America's identity and character. And that would confirm that you could have a governing coalition based on the Declaration and a real commitment to liberty instead of state-dependent socialism.
All right, I'm going to move on, although that was well said. Let's talk about family, okay? You have a husband and a wife, 3 kids, 9, 7, and 3. Here's the problem. They all had their throats slit. They're dead. Because the government of this country is sitting back and allowing the government, if you want to call it, of Mexico to allow the unrestrained violence of narco gangs to murder not 100, not 1,000, not 10,000, but tens of thousands of people on an ongoing basis because no one wants to say, you know what, these people in these gangs, we know who they are, we know where they are, we know where their leaders are, take them out! And they'll stop doing this. If every narco kingpin, queen pin, square pin, round pin, we just used our technology and sent a drone up their butt and blew them up, you know what? This thing would come to a halt because there'd be nobody paying for it. That's my thought. I'll start to you, Chief.
Well, the first thing, this is a Mexican issue, so we should offer all of that drone support you just mentioned to them. But it's up to them to really pull the trigger on it.
No, whoa, time. They're not going to pull the trigger because half the people in the government are owned by those people. What we need to say is, look, it's spilling over the border. It's caused problems for us. It's caused problems for travelers. We just had an American family get murdered. We're just putting you on notice. In the next 30 seconds, we're wiping them out. Go ahead, Brett.
I was going to say, let Steve talk. I happen to agree with Steve. I think that when you start down the road of saying that we have the moral high ground, we have the power, we can go in there and we can just wipe these people out in a foreign country, then you are setting the stage for all kinds of imperialism. You're setting the stage for the Holy Roman Empire. Let's take over the world and turn it into a copy of what we are here, which I think is undesirable. The idea we were supposed to be, George Washington's farewell speech, neutral. Let there be no foreign entanglements and alliances because they will distract from staying focused on what we are, on our identity. I think what you're talking about is wrong fundamentally. I agree with Steve. Offer support to the Mexicans. Let them deal with their own garbage. If their garbage crosses the border into America, then we can deal with it in America. But it's a foreign issue. It is not our issue. We need to stay out of it.
Well, with all due respect, I totally disagree with your premise. I'm talking about our interest defined. These people kill our people. They kill our interest. I'm not talking about taking over their country. I'm simply saying we take out the people that are causing the problem, and they can have their country and run their country, and God bless them. They've tried. They've lost tens of thousands because they don't have the ability to do it. But let's let Alan comment. Alan?
Well, a couple of things. In a part, I very much agree with what Brandt has said. As a principle, I don't believe we should be seeking to clean up everybody else's business. I don't think that's our job. I would have to say, however, that whether we're talking about today or even in George Washington time, I mean, the folks of that generation were people who, out of prudence, George Washington's statement in that speech was not a statement of hard and fast principle. It was a prudential statement about what can be expected and what should be prudent for a country that was just starting out, didn't have enormous power, and so forth and so on, and therefore had to be careful of getting entangled, particularly with more powerful countries. That would then have them beholden and ultimately be able to conquer or destroy them on that basis. Happened in Europe all the time. And I think that was a very good piece of advice. And even though we have become more powerful, it's a piece of advice we ought always to keep in mind. But that same generation developed the U.S. Navy, and it was a top priority of Washington's administration to do so. Sent that Navy to the Barbary Coast when you had these pirates who were affecting our interests and destroying our people and so forth, because that was a matter of our national interest. And I think the same can be said at times of what's happening with the border. One of the things that was argued in the Federalist Papers in favor of the need to have a cohesive national government that could enforce treaties and our obligations and the integrity of our territory, and also, by the way, control the activities of our citizens who might otherwise create causes of war by going into other countries and causing problems. All those arguments imply that if a country lets an internal problem spill over a border in a way that then damages and threatens the lives and property of folks who live in another country, then that other country is going to have to act to defend itself, to defend its people, to defend its interests. The founders were realistic guys. They knew this, they understood this, and they acted this way within the limits of the power of a fledgling nation. So I think it's a matter of balance here. It's a matter of looking at the particular circumstances as to what is necessary and appropriate. But let me say one final thing. I don't know that we're going to get any kind of, even if it's a balance or whatever, yeah, Alan, that's great. How are you going to get any of it when you have, on both sides of the aisle, a whole bunch of people who think it's time to erase our border and want to act as if it's not even there and we don't care about it, we're not going to enforce it, we're not going to keep people from coming across it, we'll let the drugs in, we'll let the thugs in, we'll let the terrorists in, and so forth and so on, all in the name of letting people come to our country and seek opportunity and so forth and so on. That's irresponsible. And so I think we sadly have feckless administrations that have made their contribution to this problem by not being serious about our border control. So that, number one, it would be awfully hard for these problems to spill over. And number two, because of our willingness to take a strong, responsible stand, we could then talk to the Mexican government about its lack of control with greater credibility.
Well, again, I agree with that. Totally well said. Let's go to our president, who has said he has a new vision of an America in which prosperity is shared. I'll start with you, Chief.
It's very simple. We discussed this earlier, and when Barack Obama first campaigned, he campaigned on hope and change with no specifics, and people heard what they wanted to hear, their hope and change. But this is the hope and change that he envisioned for America. Socialism, plain and simple, that's what he wants. He believes that money people earn is his money or the government's money and can be taken and distributed any way that the government sees fit. It's pure socialism. And now we're not deciding whether or not Barack Obama or Mitt Romney is going to have the best idea for freedom in America. We're going to have to pick between freedom and socialism. That's the issue today.
Brad?
And I agree to an extent with what Steve just said, that you know this is the Marxist philosophy that those who have should give to those who have not, and the government should facilitate that giving. In other words, take it from those who have, and that's what, you know, that's, if you read between the lines, when you hear that a place of shared prosperity, that's reading between the lines. Shared prosperity. America is supposed to be a land of opportunity. Prior to the Declaration of Independence, there was no place on earth where commoners could actually become the makers of the law, could become president, could become the aristocracy. If you were born a commoner, that was it. That was your lot in life. The most you could get would be to maybe work for a member of the nobility. But you were still a servant. You were still a slave. You could not own land. You could not own property. The idea of America was that if you work hard, if you toil, if you work the land, you can actually carve out a piece of that land that belongs to you. That's your kingdom, your castle. And what Obama is essentially saying is, no. We got to go back to the time-honored principle of the haves and the have-nots. We, the nobility, have everything, and you, the commoners, get to share what we give you. That's shared prosperity, and it runs contrary to the principles of the Declaration of Independence, and it runs contrary to the American way. I don't know that it's, however, a choice between freedom and socialism, because, as I've said before, I'm with Alan. I have great concerns over the Romney over a Romney regime. I won't say administration, over a Romney regime, and whether or not it's more a choice between socialism, Marxism, and fascism. That's my concern. But absolutely, Obama is looking to promote Marxism with the sharing of wealth.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back and get Alan's response. This is Talk to Solomon. You have a computer, if you're alive today, which means you have a hard drive, which means it's going to break down. Mosey, the backup people, for thousands, for Stan, for thousands of people, for tens of thousands of people, is simply common sense. You go to cpnlive.com, click on the icon for Mosey, the backup people, and sign up. It's just a few dollars a month. Let me tell you something. We had a break-in. They stole our whole computer. You know what? When they take the computer, you can't recover anything, but we had Mosey. We had the backup. We were able to restore everything simply by buying another computer. cpnlive.com, click on the icon for Mosey, the backup people, and give yourself common sense, peace of mind, great value, the best thing you've ever done. Sooner or later, it's going to be Mosey, the backup people. Do you like being healthy? I do. In fact, this product, which I've been taking for years now, is absolutely the answer. Now, you may not believe it, but I'm actually 21, plus tax, of course. This product has 146 different healthful nutrients in it, and it's liquid, so it's bioavailable. It tastes great, and it's sugar-free. 1 ounce of Sonic Life each day will help you to maintain and enhance your health. It's a kind of a gift, well, that you'll thank your mom for, your husband for, your wife for, your kids for. Whoever you give it to, they're going to say thank you. And you are going to enjoy the benefits of having all the vitamins, all the minerals, all the nutrients your body needs in one very reasonably priced product. Just go to cpnlive.com and everything's right there. You'll be able to read all the ingredients. The price is right there, a flat price delivered to your door anywhere in the United States of America. Sonic Life is a gift, a great gift. Give it to yourself. I do. Hey, my name is Stan Solomon, and you know if I have something to say, I'll say it. And I'll only tell you the truth because I'm a Republican, not a Democrat. Democrats always lie. Republicans only lie half the time. I don't lie at all. This is the Fuel Mule. It's an extraordinary product that was developed by a friend of mine, an engineer, and it increases the fuel mileage on your vehicle. If you have a combustion engine, this will increase your mileage by 10 to 20%. It bolts around your fuel line. You can install it yourself or have your mechanic do it. It is an extraordinary item, and it flat works. I've been using it for more than 10 years. It's increased my mileage on every vehicle I put it on, and by the way, it will last forever. You can get rid of your vehicle, just take it off and put on the next one. Go to cpnlive.com. You'll have more information there. You can order it right there. We absolutely guarantee you'll be satisfied. The Fuel Mule. It's a way to kick down your cost of fuel and kick up your mileage. Don't you love the name? I thought of it. The Fuel Mule.